The breakup we're going to talk about today is that of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, a falling apart that led to England splitting from the Catholic Church, and Henry going on to have 5 more wives. As you know, 2 of these would lose their heads, but it's this first breakup which could be said to have the most profound repercussions. It's also one of the saddest, most brutal love stories you'll ever hear. Let's start from the beginning. On the 14th of November, 1501, Catherine got married, but her first marriage wasn't to Henry. It was to Arthur Tudor, the Prince of Wales, the son of Henry VII. It's said that these two quickly fell in love with each other, despite the fact that their pronunciation of Latin was so different they could barely understand each other in the language. She called him a true and loving husband, but their happiness as a couple wouldn't last long. As they swooned over each other, the sweating sickness was sweeping over Europe. Historians believe they both got it, but Catherine survived and Arthur died, aged just 15. In 1502, just months after they married, Catherine was single again. We must also remember that Catherine was the daughter of Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain, so she was a stranger in a strange land living in Wales. Now she was all alone under dark, cloudy skies. There was another problem too, and that was the dowry that had been paid when the two got married. It was large, and British monarch Henry VII didn't want to give it back. While he wanted Spanish-British relations to be strong, Catherine's life hung in the balance. She was kept virtually as a prisoner in England, while Henry VII thought about what to do with her. He even thought about marrying her. Although it's not hard to understand why marrying your dead son's wife might be looked upon with some frowning. But Pope Julius II had made it possible, thanks to a dispensation he said the church would give the couple. This was because Catherine said she had never consummated her marriage with Arthur, which just means sleeping with each other. Only a marriage with Henry VII didn't happen, because Henry VIII was about to take the throne at the age of 18. The couple was married on the 11th of June, 1509. Catherine was 23 and Henry was 18. Yes, we know you might be thinking that already in this show, we've talked about a lot of young people, but when most folks died before they hit 40, you had to get things done quickly in those days. Soon after the marriage, Catherine fell pregnant, and Henry was over the moon. He so wanted a son to one day take his place and carry on the Tudor line. He didn't get one, because on this occasion, Catherine miscarried a girl. Then around a year later, she gave birth to a son. He was named Henry, of course. This delighted the couple. Guns were fired over London, lanterns were lit, and the people were asked to rejoice in the good fortunes of their rulers. Then little Henry died after 52 days. 2 years later, she had another boy, but he was stillborn. In 1515, she had another stillborn child, a boy again, which must have torn Henry to pieces. Then her 5th pregnancy happened. Many people thought the result would be the same, but she had a girl, and the girl survived, and that girl would become the future Queen of England, Mary I. Henry still wanted his son, but Catherine would have another miscarriage and then a baby girl that lived in the world only a few hours. So we have a vibrant aging king. We have a highly educated, brave aging woman, but we have a relationship that has been filled with loss and pain. We also have an unpredictable king, one who would die with much blood on his hands. Catherine was getting on in years, and Henry didn't believe she would be able to give him a son. He had to get rid of her. This became known as the King's Great Matter. And then, who should Henry set his eyes on? One of Catherine's ladies-in-waiting, the pretty Anne Boleyn. In 1525, Henry would start seeing young Anne, and he would also accuse his wife of lying. Henry believed, or he just said this, that Catherine must have slept with her departed husband Arthur. And the reason for all those lost children was that God had punished them because she had lied and they had committed a sin. We're told that all Catherine's luxuries were removed, and she was forced to live mostly alone in damp castles. We're also told that she was forced to wear a hair shirt, which is a very uncomfortable garment filled with rough animal hair that itches and hurts the skin. This was a form of punishment back then, or at least penitence. Some say that she was made to wear it, others said she chose to wear it to show her devotion to God and to her husband. At this time, she wasn't even allowed to see her daughter Mary, although she could have an occasional visitor. But Henry left her alone, and when she died on the 7th of January 1536, Henry didn't even turn up for her funeral. She was, however, loved by the British people, as she so often helped the poor, and was said to be kind-hearted. She loved the king until the end, it seems, writing in a letter just before her death, "My most dear lord, king and husband, the hour of my death now drawing on, the tender love I owe you forceth me, my case being such, to commend myself to you." And get this, on the day of Catherine's funeral, Anne Boleyn miscarried a child, and that child was a boy. She never gave him a boy, and Henry would take her head in the end. He might not have killed Catherine, but it was this breakup that was the worst. In fact, we can't think of a bigger breakup ever. Can you? Let us know in the comments.